Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much once again for sacrificing to be part of this great show. Ladies and gentlemen, tension is building between the executive arm of the government and the judiciary. Apparently, the courts have decided to defy the orders from State House to try and protect the Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat over the mysterious death of Albert Ojwang. Apparently, the state, thought that after Ojwang has been buried and the government gave Ojwang's father some money, they even built some house for him. They thought this case would end like that. People would forget and move on. But Kenyans have said, we are not moving on. You see, this kind of attitude where the government feels that you can be killed and your parents compensated, like they are now arrogantly forming a committee, this committee that is being headed by Makau Mutua. And they're saying that they want to compensate Kenyans who suffered police brutality, either maimed, killed, or that. And Kenyans are asking, this is so arrogant because we've not seen the president recall the statements that he made of shoot the foot orders. He has not even called his friends to order. The friends who said that we don't just want people to be killed on the foot, but shoot to kill. And there is no commitment from the government or from the police that apart from the compensation, they will guard against cheap kidnappings, maiming, and killing Kenyans. All they want is there is a lot of money that we feel has been stolen, and they want to use it to buy off or bribe the parents whose children have been killed. Why am I saying there's a lot of money that we feel, has been looted? The recent reports from the Auditor General that there's money to the tune of billions of Kenyan shillings that are siphoned into people's pockets shows that there is a lot of money, and these people want to equate the life of a human to money. What amount of money can compensate life? And so this is what they thought, that after giving Albert Ojwang money, then people would move on. So apparently, lawyer Kibi Mungai is leading a team that is seeking to prosecute the Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat. And after launching the prosecution, the government acted with usual arrogance. The Attorney General and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions have refused to respond because when someone accuses you, they were supposed to respond to the charges, but they decided it is business as usual because they know they have the powers. But the judge who is handling this case today gave the final orders. And they said, we're not going to joke around. We are in a new dispensation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you how after the Deputy Inspector General realized that things were getting thicker, he's now saying that the courts cannot be compelled to prosecute him. And he says that the prerogative of investigating and prosecuting him ends with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and he says the IPOA, the Independent Police Oversight Authority. I want us to go straight to what is being reported because I want to show you how the deep state, the NIS, the State House want to ensure that they protect Eliud Lagat from prosecution. And I also want to show you how the courts have decided that they are not going to take any more orders. Kindly subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell, ladies and gentlemen. If you love our show, then YouTube will notify you whenever we release a video like this. Kindly like and share this video. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. Once again, thank you for choosing our show and for being part of our channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is recorded here. High Court warns DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the AG, Attorney General, over delays in Lagat prosecution petition. And it says that the High Court has granted the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, and the Attorney General a final opportunity to respond to a petition seeking the prosecution of Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. I just want to quote them verbatim. Now, Justice Bahati Mwamuye issued these directives after lawyer Kibi Mungai, representing the petitioner, informed the court that the DPP had yet to file his response, stalling progress in the case. And this is what Mwamuye is saying, that noting the subject matter and taking into consideration the sentiments of the lawyers present today, a final opportunity shall be afforded to the respondents and interested parties who have not filed to do so. That was the final order and the final directive, because they thought it was business as usual. You see, when a judge gives a final order, do you know what happens? The next will be an order of arrest warrant orders. And you know how that can complicate matters. Remember, the Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat, in quotes, stepped aside to allow investigation only after there was pressure and youths had ganged up and they had planned for another protest in town. So I think William Ruto alimwambia, songa tu kidogo, bado uko job. We know that he was on leave. So that was the final orders. Realizing that this tough judge had refused to take orders from above, because I know this is a high-profile case and we suspect that there could be orders. You know what happens? State House orders to try and protect Lagat. The judge refused. So what did Eliud do? Eliud presented his response, and in his response is saying the courts cannot prosecute him. According to him, that decision lies with the DPP. And he's saying, only DPP can decide to charge me with Ojwang's murder, not courts. That is the Deputy Inspector General telling us that the courts cannot charge him. And this is what he's saying. The Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat argues that the decision on whether to charge him over the death of blogger Albert Omondi Ojwang lies exclusively with the Director of Public Prosecutions. Through his lawyer, Cecil Miller, Lagat submits that compelling the DPP to institute charges against him would amount to an unlawful usurpation of constitutionally mandated powers and a dangerous precedent that undermines prosecutorial independence. And this is exactly what the lawyer was saying. The petitioner's prayer to have this court compel the DPP to prosecute the 11th respondent is an improper attempt to take over the function of the independent institutions. This court cannot declare someone guilty without a trial, nor direct the DPP to prosecute absent evidence of constitutional failure. The submissions read in part. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to discuss three things that the Deputy Inspector General is saying. In his submission, he says that the court cannot compel the DPP to prosecute him. And he's saying the following, and I want us to go slow. He's saying that, number one, the investigation was done by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and they investigated and they found him innocent. They exonerated him. And the further says that the papers or the findings were forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, headed by Renson Igonga. And after looking at the files, they also concluded that Lagat was innocent. That's why two other policemen, including the OCS, were prosecuted. he was found innocent. Number three, he says that he stepped aside to allow investigations. That is what he's saying. Now, I want us to investigate just three things, and I will tell you that there's a problem. Number one, who trusts the Independent Policing Oversight Authority? Who trusts the IPOA? Let me tell you, no one trusts the IPOA. IPOA is part of the problem and not part of the solution. Do you think IPOA can have the guts? The chairman can conclude that indeed Lagat was found culpable. No one trusts it. Let me tell you something about the DPP. There is a case that is still being studied up to date. The Aror and Kimarer Dam case. The judge that was handling that case, Madam Eunice Nyoto, complained that the only reason why she exonerated all the suspects was because the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution sabotaged that case. And she said that that was deliberate. She complained a lot. So this Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has been used to protect the executive. His men and women can never be prosecuted. That is why he intentionally elevated Renson Igonga to be in that capacity. So the reason why, Mr. Lagat insists that it is only the DPP that can prosecute him is because he knows he is in safe hands. Because the DPP, that office is dancing to Ruto's tune. And when you see Lagat, you see Ruto. Ruto does not leave men and women from his tribe. We all know that there is even a case where someone from his tribe had been prosecuted and jailed, but he used his powers, the presidential pardoning powers, and in one of the holidays, this person was excused. So that is the reason why Mr. Lagat insists that his case must be prosecuted by the DPP. The other question that I want to ask is this. If he knows too well that the Independent Police Oversight Authority found him innocent, why is he afraid of defending himself further in a court of justice? Why is he afraid? Once innocent, always innocent. If he believes he's so innocent, why can't he just face another justice at the court of justice or a court of law? Why is he afraid? I know that this will open Pandora's box. It will expose him. If he knows very well that the IPOA did their own investigation, it was found innocent, let him face another level of justice. Why is he afraid? The last question that I would want to ask is this. The documents from the courts indicate that Mr. Lagat did not step aside. Rather, he went on a paid leave. Yani wewe ende ujivinjari, hakuna kitu. Kama watu wanapiga kelele, we want this heat to calm down. So wewe enda kwa familia, enda hata kwa beach, take some rest. That is the report from the courts. He didn't resign. Neither did he step aside. Of course, we were told, and the government is very funny. There is a letter that was presented to us. That letter was never official. The official position from the records of the court is that there was a signed document, a signed letter by the Inspector General allowing Mr. Lagat, his deputy, to go on leave. So there were two documents. One that was signed and I think kept at the headquarters or wherever it is, indicates that the boss was on leave. There's another one that was presented before us. People were making noise to be happy that our demonstrations have sent him home. We were told he went on leave. So, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot win Kenyans. We know that this case was full of lies from the word go. What was the first report that we were given when Ojwang died? And the report was from the police department that Ojwang hit himself on police cells. They thought after saying that the fire would just end. Thank God Ojwang's blood was just too thick. Some sacrificial lambs had to be made. So the case has been shrouded in lies and fallacy. Do you think Lagat can argue that he cannot be prosecuted in a court of justice? And the reason why he's doing that, he knows that the courts, I think there is bad blood between William Ruto and the court. And someone has refused to listen to the big orders from State House. We want to watch and see how things unfold, because obviously if you see Lagat blocking any prosecution in a court of law, then he knows that things might not really fall in place. It's not gonna be a walk in the park.